Back in 2015, I was sitting in my senior year class for AP Government and Politics. My teacher decided that he was going to show us a video he thought would be beneficial to us moving forward into the real world. The video featured celebrity Mike Rowe, who went on to do a kind of speaking career based on his experience on the show Dirty Jobs. At the time, I was really dissatisfied with the Mike Rowe video, and it stuck with me throughout the years. This video isn't calling out Mike Rowe specifically, because this video is based more on my memory. I couldn't track down the original clip to review it, but the sentiments it left me with were something that I've carried into the future and thought about a lot as I've grown older. In the clip, Mike Rowe discusses this idea of speaking with distinction. He's lecturing young people, and in this case my teacher's showing it to us, high schoolers, that they need to speak using words that emphasize confidence or a certainty in what one believes. He complained that young people speak with too many softened words. You might say, I think this, or I feel this way, instead of making a declarative statement. The issue with this at the time was that I felt I really didn't have the authority to speak that way. I don't know if it was just some aspect of how I was raised or what I believed at the time, but I felt as a 17-year-old, how could I really say anything definitively? On the other hand, there was this general feeling at this point in my life that when people discussed these kind of issues, it tended to just be contentious. When one person would say something and other people would say another, and they would get upset. And maybe it was easier to stay out of it when I didn't have much of a stake in the discussion. I mean, I had political feelings, or I had beliefs on certain issues. But at the same time, I would watch the way that my classmates would advocate for some ridiculous political issue they had no connection to and make a big deal of it, silencing people who disagreed with them. And I felt I really didn't want to participate in that discussion. So when Mike Rowe said this, I felt kind of conflicted. Well, yes, that might be all well and good, but really, who has the authority? At the time, I was living with this kind of worldview that, well, the best kind of solution that we could have for how to exist as a society is this idea that I live my life one way and you can live your life another way. It's why I still use this argument to advocate against censorship. I wouldn't want the things that I believe in, the works that I appreciate censored, so why would I ask for anyone else's to be? The only kind of fair outcome is that we both be allowed to publish or say what we want. The results of this is this idea, though, taken to an extreme at the time of feeling like, well, I can't tell anyone else what to do. If I have an opinion, that will naturally upset someone. That will naturally infringe on someone else's right to have an opinion if I express one. So I disagreed with Mike Rowe because at the time I felt, well, I don't want someone to stand on my opinion and I'm annoyed when people do. And so for that reason, I don't want to do the same to them. I should soften what I say. I think in some way this comes from a matter of youth, in that at 17, most people know more than I do. Most people have more authority over me than I would over them. So who would I especially then be to tell them what to think? And my classmates felt somewhat hopeless. I'm really not going to argue with them. This was the 2010s, and the height of the political movements at the time meant that having any kind of conservative view just didn't fly in school, and nobody was going to accept it. And because of that, I feel that there was this culture of silence and appeasement. This idea that, well, I will go with my family or friends and speak my mind, but otherwise I'll be silent. And at the same time, when it comes time that I'm old enough to vote, I will just vote the way that I believe. But really, it's not worth getting into any arguments or having any kind of discussion. I do feel like at the time, I really didn't like confrontation. I actually was on the debate team for 2 years, and I ended up doing there's other activities you can do in debate, because I just felt like the debates themselves provided kind of like unnecessary friction. I think because at the same time, whether it be within the context of these like structured debates that you would have in this competition, or whether it just be discussions with classmates, the issue is at the time, when everybody's 17, 18, 16, nobody really has the experience to actually talk about these issues. And even if you wanted to not look at experience as the criteria, I also just think it's not having a stake in the issues quite themselves. If I fast forward to today, the reason that many issues seem much more important is the fact that my life feels much more influenced by them. I interact with them directly. Being married, being a homeowner, being almost 30, all of these things cause me to participate in society more. I did go vote in the primary election the other day. I have to pay taxes on my house. I have to pay for all things. When I watch the price of groceries go up, I'm the one that's doing the budgeting. So for that reason, these issues automatically involve me much more. And I can speak with distinction because I have a stake in the game, because I know what the results of these outcomes will be and how they influence my life. And I'm going to make an argument for what would make my life better, the life of my family, for my wife, for my sisters, for my parents. And because of that, I have much more authority. So at the time, I think that I was right, but for the wrong reasons. I think that Mike Rowe really had no place to be telling 17-year-olds to speak with distinction. I think that's how we get people who are speaking about things they know nothing about. Really, speaking with distinction comes from getting older. It comes from getting closer to the problems, and it comes from understanding your arguments, your rationale for believing these arguments, and for spending many years mulling these things over in your brain and coming to a certain conclusion after a point. I mean, every single year, I'm not the same person I was the year before. And I think that at this point, I have thought about things and changed my opinions greatly. When I was in high school, the issue was I didn't want to step on anyone else's foot because that would be wrong. I wouldn't want that done to me. But now that I've grown older, the thing that I've seen is that if you don't make a statement, if you don't advocate for yourself and your family and the life you want to live, you won't get it. It'll be taken from you. And when you're a kid, it's easy to think, well, we can all coexist, and if I don't say anything, nobody else will. But at this point, what I've really come to see is that people would gladly make a life that you don't want. They would advocate for something that would be contrary to everything you believe in. They would make your life worse given the chance because they believe something different than you. So it's important to speak up, and it's important to have an opinion, because otherwise you will be the loser in the battle. And I think that that's the part we can maybe understand about voting when we're young, but we don't understand about the battle in terms of how we talk to people, ideology, and culture. If we don't put our messages out there, then somebody else will. And so there's something that comes with being older that makes that a necessity and not a choice. Whereas before, we might have hedged our bets in our speech. We might have softened things to not deviate too far from the political or social norm so as to protect ourselves. There becomes a necessity to move further away in order to advocate for the lifestyle that we want and the life we want for our family and friends. And that's my reason for starting this channel. At this point in my life, I feel that I have the necessary combination of experience, education, and necessity in order to actually speak with distinction, as Mike Rowe said all those years ago. No longer do I want to limit my discussions to private conversations with friends and family. I want to be able to speak directly to an audience. I want to be able to discuss current events and advocate for the way of life that I would like for myself and for my family. If you made it this far, thank you very much. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. I'll be coming out with some more videos in the following weeks, and I look forward to where this channel will go in the future. Thank you.